Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of A Few Short Minutes, the pod, where I just want to highlight resources that literally take a few short minutes a day to have a better life, whether it's rewiring your brain, stop negative self talk, stop any other not so great habits, or enhance maybe some abilities that you didn't know you had, or maybe you had an inkling, but you don't know what to do with them. And that leads me to my beautiful guest, Brandi, today. So let me read you a little bit about Brandi Van. She is a psychic medium mentor who helps highly sensitive people discover their unique psychic gifts so they can empower themselves to live their life authentically. Her passion is to help people discover their abilities so they can fulfill their higher purpose to help others, live with intention in their interactions, and listen to their intuition. Y'all know I love a good intuitive and a good intuition around here. Brandi knows how alone and lost it can feel when you have abilities and no one to turn to. I can't even imagine. I have so many questions. And has made it her mission to help you develop your gifts so you can live your most authentic life, which is beautiful because that's exactly what I do, is help people to stop people pleasing women, to stop people pleasing, set boundaries, stop beating themselves up internally so they can be authentic and not worry about how it's going to be received or bending their body to fit somebody else's shape. So welcome, Brandi. I'm super excited to have you. Introduce yourself. What do you want? What do you want to add to that?
Sure. So thank you for that wonderful welcome. It's so nice to see you. Hello to everyone listening. So as you had said, I am a psychic medium mentor. And for people that don't know what that is, I was only like 10 years old and I was hearing spirits talk to me. And I thought maybe I was going crazy. So I just tended to not tell anyone. I wanted to ignore it. I was afraid of it. I thought just people would think I was crazy. So now that I have developed my abilities, I want to help other people develop them so that they're not in that, alone or having people think that they're crazy. There's nothing someone could tell me that I would judge them on. There's nothing they could tell me that I probably haven't heard or experienced myself. I really want to help people get out of their spirituality closet. And, it's been taboo for so long. Like, let's just talk about it and let's help each other on the journey. So that's what I really feel like my mission is now.
I love that so much, especially the spirituality closet, right? Because I can imagine being 10 years old and hearing your seeing or whatever, I don't, however your gifts manifest, and being like, that person is actually not there. I don't know what to do with this. Was it? It's isolating. First of all, I feel very lonely just even saying that for you. And then, secondly, yeah, the judgment. Like, who do you tell that that's safe to? Uh,
Exactly.
talk about being 10 and kind of
Yeah.
grappling with this stuff.
Yeah, it was like, and I still hear it to this day, but now I obviously understand it, but it's my voice, but it's not my thought. So it's like, okay, that's my voice. Like I'm hearing it, but I didn't just think that. And so you really do think like, oh my gosh, like am I crazy? But I started to realize, that there was something there because I realized that people were giving me messages for their deceased, like their deceased loved ones were giving me messages for people who are living. But it was like, I don't know who the message is for. I don't know how to give this message. So then it came with a lot of guilt because I was like, I clearly have a gift, but like, what do I do with it? So I was in my 20s when I had a very profound spiritual experience that changed everything for me. It was like, I don't want to ignore this anymore. I'm not ashamed of it anymore. And I obviously have a gift here that I'm supposed to do something with. So my family and I, we were all around my grandma's bed in her hospice room as she was taking her last breath. And as she did, I literally felt her spirit rise above the bed. And when I looked above the bed with my naked eye, I saw, like, I don't even think these colors are in our universe. Like, they were so bright and magnificent, and they were forming a star. And and beating in and out like a heartbeat. And with knowing, like, I don't even know how I knew, but I just knew that she was going on to a better place, that her deceased loved ones and angels were there to welcome her into this new journey in her life. I knew that she was at peace and that she was calm. And I just completely didn't have a fear of death anymore. It was such a quick instant that completely changed my life. But it still took me years to tell anybody about that, because now everybody around me is grieving and they're going through something that I'm going through, kind of the complete opposite. Like, I knew I was going to speak with her again, which I can, and now I talk to her anytime I want. She's just
Oh my
like my
gosh.
life, but in a different
I
way.
wish. That would be
Um,
amazing.
yeah, so it totally changed everything for me. And then, I started to try to develop my gift, but there's like all these like one-off classes out there that just give you like a little bit of what you need to know, and you keep taking these classes and you're wasting all this money and nothing is working. And finally I found a mentor who basically said, you can't read about it, you just need to have someone that has been through this, has experienced it. And only worked with her for maybe 6 hours for 6 months, and my abilities just skyrocketed. It was crazy. I could
So
call spirit on demand. I could tell them leave me alone when I wanted them to leave me alone. And so now I've created that mentorship program for other people so that they can just like learn from what I learned, and I'm already in that path ahead of them, that now I can help them.
yeah, that's the beautiful thing about coaching. That's what you're doing, is coaching. Is like you only have to be a couple steps ahead. Also, I want to really highlight something that you said, because this has been my epiphany in the last, literally since Sunday, is there are a ton of coaches, no matter your niche, no matter what realm you serve in, that tell. And so, like your mentor said, you could read this in a book, but you can't, like, it's not the same. And so what I know about the coaches that surround me is we tell, do this, do that, change, start small, celebrate your wins, get an accountability buddy. It's all the same, but very rarely does somebody show you how to do.
Yeah. And with this line of work, you have to do. I mean, imagine if you went to a piano teacher and they taught you all about the notes, but you never put your hand on the piano for them to teach you.
Right.
This is that same thing. Like, you have to say, do this visualization technique, do this meditation, and do it with them, so that they realize and start to look at their potential. But yeah, it's crazy to me that there are not many mentors that are out here teaching psychic abilities, because it really is like any other skill. Like, if you have an interest in it and you already have it a little bit, because we all do have these abilities. But if you have that interest in it, it is crazy to me that not many people are mentoring on this, because a lot of people have it, they just aren't talking about it. So yeah, that's why I want to be like the spokesperson.
You think it's because of judgment that more coaches aren't out there, mentors, however you label and identify yourself,
Yeah.
but you think it's because of the taboo-ness of maybe the subject, that there aren't many coaches, mentors out there going, yeah, listen, I can help you. What do you think is the disconnect there? Why aren't there more mentors like you hanging around?
I think that not so much the taboo for them, because I know if they're anything like me, it's not taboo in any way. It's my everyday life. But I think maybe they are more like, people will be more accepting to like accept, like, doing a reading, like having a reading from them, versus them actually teaching them how to do it. And I don't think it's from the mentors standpoint. I think it's more society thinking like, the rational mind gets in the way. Hey, there's no science on this, I'm making this up, I don't trust the messages, I don't trust myself, I don't trust my intuition. So I
Right.
actually think it could be that the people that you're trying to find that need this, and maybe that's the issue. It's more, the people that are
Yeah.
they out there, and I'm determined to find these people. So because I know they are out there, and I know
Right.
they're hiding, and I don't want them to hide anymore.
I love that. I love that. I had a, a, a couple of weeks ago, we had a pet rat die, and I knew she was dying, and I was like, okay, you're just gonna hang out here until you're gone. And so I just held her in my hoodie. It was about 8 hours. And the first and only time this has ever happened, I felt her leave.
Mm,
Um, I felt her leave. Like, I felt it was like I don't know how to describe it. It's like it was a gentle vibration across my hand, because I had her right here, and I didn't even need to, like, I wasn't feeling her breathing. I was just holding her. So I wasn't really paying attention, but I
Mhm.
felt it. And I was like, okay, I knew she was gone. And then of course, I like checked and here and she was gone. And it freaked me out. It freaked me
Oh,
out
yeah.
because I didn't know what to do with it. And I've put down, I've euthanized dogs. I'm in my late 40s. I've had a treasure trove of beautiful animals in my life that I've been with them in their last moments, and I've never experienced that before. And
Yeah.
yeah, I can, at 47, if it freaked me out, I can only imagine, you at 10 or you at 20 next to grandma's bed, and you're like, I don't know what's going on here, but this is weird. Um, so it was a beautiful experience, and I'm so glad I got to be part of that. But it was very odd,
Yeah.
and of course, then it's the societal thing of like, I honestly, this happened, and I don't want you guys to think I'm crazy, but this happened,
Yeah.
and yeah, and it's like, okay, well, who do I tell? I want to tell somebody. Who do I
Yes.
tell?
Yes. Well, now
Yeah,
you know me and you can tell me anything.
and I appreciate that non-judgment. That non-judgment.
Yes.
Um, talk about talk about how people can kind of get like I believe it, and you said it too. Everybody has it a little bit, whether it is dormant, pushed down, not fostered and taken care of. It's still there. So,
Yes.
what are some clues or symptoms that Hey, you do have this? Because I think people don't pay attention.
Yes. And that's the thing, right? Because if you don't know what to look out for, you don't realize that you're having these experiences. So, we all do have it. Just like our five physical senses, we also have our sixth sense, which is our intuition. And that's your psychic ability. That's your intuition is actually a psychic sense. So, if I could just tell your viewers, if they want to go to my website, brandyvan.com, if they sign up for my email newsletter list, I have a fun little quiz for them to take. It's a free PDF, and it goes through exactly what we're talking about. It's going to show them signs that they're having that they might think are everyday human ones, but are actually psychic experiences. And then it even takes it down another notch, and it actually divides it into categories of different types of psychics. So you might be an intuitive, you might be a healer, you might be a medium like me and talk to dead people. So actually, based on those experiences, you'll add them up and see what type of psychic you are as well. But just for your listeners, so let's say you've ever had deja vu. That's a psychic experience. If you've ever walked into a room, sorry, go
Ha-
ahead.
Sorry, talk about deja vu for a little bit because that's something
Sure.
that is a common, occurrence or common. It's a commonality that people go, "Oh yeah, I've a significant number of people say yeah, I've had that." So, how is deja vu a psychic experience?
Yeah, so your deja vu is actually tied in with your dreams, and your dreams are tied in with your spirit guides. So when your spirit guides come to you in a dream, they're trying to give you advice, they're trying to get you to lead you to your higher path. Maybe if you have blocks, like if you're limiting beliefs, try to get you to get out of your comfort zone. So I could go into dreams a whole nother day. But yes, so when you have deja vu, it's actually a dream that you had and you forgot. So when you have it in your day life, it seems like, oh my gosh, I already lived this. And it's because you did, but it was in a dream and you already forgot it. And that dream came from your spirit guides because they knew you were going to live it. So it's all interconnected there. So yeah, it's coming from a psychic ability of your spirit guides.
Why is it like random? Why is it so random of like, oh, I've had this conversation or I've walked into this place and saw that person? It doesn't seem when I have deja vu, it doesn't seem significant. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? Like the occurrence is significant, the feeling.
Yeah.
But like when I look around, I'm like, there's literally this is so normal, so run of the mill, everyday mundane stuff. Why? Why is it connected like that?
Yeah, so two reasons for that. It could be that it is very mundane and maybe it's nothing going on. Or it could be something very not mundane, very very deep actually, and you have to look for the pattern of when I had deja vu here, it's almost like a dream journal but a deja vu journal. When I had this pattern here, I had this experience, what was going on in my life? Did I have stressors? What was going on? What am I supposed to learn from this? But if you don't like take it that extra step to kind of look into, is this
Is this
actual
actual
mundane
mundane
or is there
or is
actually
there
something
actually
going
something
on
going
here?
on here? Okay, I love that deja vu journal idea. That's amazing. Yeah, because I'm one of my sons has it pretty strongly, and I did when I
Mm.
was his age too. I had it really strong, at least once a month. And I just didn't, I was just like, this is so mundane around me though. I don't understand. So yeah, the pattern, that makes sense. That
And it
makes
might
sense.
not even be the deja vu experience itself, but whatever's going on in your life that day or during that time. So you don't want to just the experience, but also like what is going on in my life right now that I was given this deja vu experience.
Okay. So that's kind of how I feel about my chills. Is
Mm.
like, so what I totally just made this up. I don't know if it's intuitive or whatever, but like, I get chills. And that's kind of like the confirmation of I'm in the right place at the right time, saying the right thing to the right person or in front of the right person or whatever. And that's just kind of how I've led my life for the last few years. I don't remember always having this. But the further into my healing journey I get, it's getting, it's getting stronger, which is really weird. I love it, but it's very strange. And so that's just kind of like, yeah, I get it in the bigger picture of deja vu of like, nope, this is the way. This is the right way. You just gotta keep going. So that would make sense, even though it was around like the experience around mundane things. Yes. It's like, no, this is life. Let's go. Yeah, weird. Okay. That
So
makes
yeah,
sense.
actually, if I could talk about your tools, and I'm hearing an echo on my end. I want to see what you're not hearing.
Let me check. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay. What about now?
Okay. Yes, perfect. Okay, so your chills, that's exactly what, whenever you can tune into your intuition, that's a great sign. So instead of looking at it as strange, like look at it as like the most amazing, beautiful thing, right? Because now you are so in tune with yourself. And when you start to recognize what is your sign, is it a chill? Is it a tingling down your spine? Is it a flutter in your stomach? Whatever that might be, that as soon as you start to recognize that, you have that mind body connection, then you can know, I'm going the right way. I'm going down the right path. Like you were saying. So it's awesome to me that you're experiencing that and you can like get that connection going and you're sensing it. I mean, that takes a lot to get to that point. So go you. That's awesome.
Me.
Yes.
Me. I didn't even know. All I was doing was like healing, generational trauma. Didn't intend to develop, my senses further. Not that I'm like, absolutely. I would love to connect with spirit. I would love to connect with loved ones that are no longer here. I'm kind of sad that I can't so easily. I don't want to say I can't completely, but in the traditional in a box rational thinking way, right? And so I would love to be able to do that. What's that like talking to your grandma whenever you access her? What is that like?
It is so awesome, and I can't even like describe it. Like, anytime, like if I need like closure, or if I need advice, or I even just like ask her a question, like it's amazing. And along with that comes, I just know that I'm going to see her again as well. Like I know I'm going to meet up with her in the spirit world. I know it wasn't a final goodbye. I just know I'm going to see her again. And it seems like every funeral after that, every time I've lost someone, like I don't cry anymore. I just have this new view of like this accepting that I'm still gonna be able to talk to them and I know I'm gonna see them again. So it's just like a little break in time. It's not this final goodbye. But I do want to mention something because you had said that you would love to talk to your loved ones. So everyone has psychic abilities, but not everyone is a medium. So all mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. That's actually something you can't teach someone. That's actually like a gift that people are given. So you can either talk to dead people or you can't. So it's not something that can be taught, unfortunately.
Dang, that's
I know.
unfortunate, as I would love it. I would absolutely. Well, I'm sure. So talk about the darker side of that. I say I love it, but I have no clue because I'm not you. So talk about the maybe the darker side of mediumship.
Sure. So the darker side, so it's okay. So a lot of people.
Rephrase that if you need to. I don't know how else
No,
to say
it's
it.
okay. I totally get it.
Okay.
So I think a big myth is that there is a darker side because a lot of these movies like Poltergeist and Exorcist are showing that these horrible things happen, which can happen, right? But I think that's for people who are like dabbling, who don't realize, hey, I'm inviting this into my energy. If they don't know how to protect themselves and they don't know what they're doing, then absolutely negative energy can come in. But you can also feel negative energy, and it's just residual energy. It doesn't mean that there's a spirit contacting you. It just means that maybe this horrible situation and its imprint is so strong that you feel it, but it's not actually something that's intelligent that's talking to you. But if you don't know how to differentiate that, you would think it's a very scary experience.
Yeah.
Um, but in my, like, when I do mediumship readings, the dark side comes in when, let's say, someone dies young, or someone dies unexpectedly, or someone dies of a suicide or an overdose, something like that.
Yeah.
The hardest thing for me to do is, I can't change the message, right? Because spirit is giving me a message and I have to deliver it as it is given to me. And a lot of people think that they're going to cross over and they're going to be immediately at peace. And that, unfortunately, is not the case. And I have to sit there and tell them they're not at peace. They're angry. They are upset that they died this young. They are very apologetic. They're ashamed, or whatever it might be. And it doesn't mean that they're not going to be at peace. They will get to peace at some point. But if they come to me so early after that person has passed, they might not be there yet. And it is so hard to tell someone that. And, of course, they get very upset. And I tell them, do you want me to keep going? And they 100% always want me to keep going. But the whole point of a reading is to get comfort, and healing. And then when you give a message like that, it is so hard, like so heavy on my heart. But I do let them know they'll get there. They're just not there yet. And
Yeah.
it's
So
really hard.
even the souls have a process, people. Your
Yeah,
human has a process, your soul has a process.
absolutely.
You got to process.
Yeah.
You're processing grief, they're processing their grief.
Yes.
Just on a different existence plane is kind of, what my
Yeah.
understanding. How do you protect yourself? Maybe not just from like the dark energy or having to deliver heavy messages like that, but um, how did you learn to protect yourself and your energy around like crowds? I'm sure, I'm kind of like sixth sensing it here. And I know that's pretty kind of silly, but when the Haley Joe's Osment's in the car and somebody in the bicycle like comes up to the window and he's like I can imagine being in a mall and all of these people are like, hey, my wife is over there. How do you protect yourself? How do you kind of shut that out?
It's interesting that you bring up the mall, because the mall has such negative energy in it. And I think it's because people are obsessed with the material that they're buying, and they're buying these, like, everything's materialistic. And so it gets very like, this is not what life's about. So I really hate shopping. So it's very interesting you brought that up. But to protect my energy, and there's so many different ways to do it, but I simply use the white light. And I say simply because it really is something very easy. The biggest thing with the white light is, you know, developing your abilities is all about visualization. So first you meditate to get into that calm state, your relaxed state, but then you have to take it that step further to develop your third eye chakra, which is your mind's eye, which is also known as your imagination. So you want to envision that white light coming down from the sky, enveloping you. It's warm, it's welcoming. And the only thing, though, is if you don't believe or trust in that white light, it's not going to work. So this is where you really need to have an open mind, and you need to believe in yourself, and you need to trust in yourself, because you can put that white light around you all day, but if you don't believe that it's actually there, it's not going to protect you. So that's actually the biggest thing. And when you create that bubble of white light around you, you want to make sure there's no holes in it. You just have to envision this very clear bubble that nobody can get into, so that your positive energy is inside of it and everything else is on the outside of it. And a lot of empaths, if they do go into a crowded space, they need to do that several times a day. Really, anytime they leave the house, they could walk out their door and someone could walk past them and they're going to take on that energy. So you really need to protect yourself a lot when you're an empath.
Yeah, yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. I have some friends that do that, and I'm like, ooh. I thought I was for many, many years an empath. No, it was just my trauma. It was
Oh,
just
yeah.
my trauma.
And the trauma and all of the shadow work is actually the first step in developing your psychic abilities. So it doesn't surprise me that you're working on that. And now here comes your intuition. Oh yeah, you got the shadow work journal. Awesome. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that you're working on that, and now your intuition is giving you chills and things, because the more self-introspection work that you do, the more shadow work that you do, the better you're going to know yourself, the better you're going to be able to not have that emotional baggage per se going into your future. And the more you can release, the better your spirit guides are going to be able to communicate with you. So the better you know yourself, the better you'll be able to communicate with them. And then that's going to just keep your path going and going to the right place.
So I want you to kind of give us a glossary for a second, because you've said a couple of things that I think um, are a bit confusing for people, because you've
Okay.
said spirit guides, right? And spirit. And then you've also said angels, which is very Christian and biblical. And so usually if you're Christian and biblical at that level, spirit and spirit guides are not received in such a positive manner, even though it's the Holy Ghost people, but whatever. That's fine. But the glossary of
Yes.
faith, can you make those connections, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So, religion and spirituality are two different types of thought. So, a lot of people are like, I don't know if I should develop my psychic abilities or get into spirituality. It's against my religion. And I always have to tell them that's actually a misconception. Religion is when you have a group of people and you're going to a place, a sacred space like church or something like that, and you're worshiping, your higher God or whatever you want to call them. But a spirituality is a personal journey. So you're going on this journey by yourself and you're developing your personal growth and you're going through these things to, for your journey to empower yourself and to make your life better. So there are actually two different very types of thought. You can be religious and spiritual but not religious. So they're different. Now, in terms of spirit guides, they are here from us from before we were born. They've been with us in our past lives. They're here with us. You have one main one that's just with you all the time. And you can never ask your spirit guides too much. They're here to help us. And the more they help us, we're actually helping them, because when we acknowledge that they've helped us, they ascend higher in the spirit world. So it's a two-way street. They're helping us and we're helping them. Yeah. So when you hear the word angel, angels are actually non denominational. They're actually not a religious being, which I'm sure if someone is religious, they would definitely think that. But in the world of spirituality, an angel doesn't have a gender. You could call on a feminine angel whenever you need feminine energy, or a male energy that can give you feminine energy. So it's actually, they're non denominational. They don't have a gender. And they are in both the spiritual world and the religious world. So even though I'm saying that term, and a lot of people might refer to it as religious, I'm actually just saying a spiritual term as well.
Okay. And what's the difference between angels and spirit guides? Can they be one and the same? Are they sometimes? Are they different? What does that look like?
So an angel has actually never been incarnated, so they've never been a human. They're always up in the spirit world, but they can help us as well. So they can come down here. They can do whatever they want, right? They're an angel, so they can come down here and help us as humans. They can go to different realms. They can do, basically, they're just energy, and they can go anywhere they want. Whereas a spirit guide, think of it as like your best friend here on earth, and they're here to help you. They might be a past ancestor that you've never met before, a deceased loved one that maybe you did know. It could be someone who has reincarnated so many times, but they're not going to reincarnate again. So yeah, they can be a couple of different things, but but they're definitely here to help us.
That's so awesome. So I love that. I love the thought of a couple of them. They're also probably shaking their head at me, because yeah,
Never, never.
okay, if they are, I would get it. I would get it. Yeah.
They know what mistakes we're here to learn. They know what journey we're here to take. So they're very forgiving. It's not like a judging thing at all. They're very forgiving, accepting, and they just want to push you to get you on our purpose here and our path of what we're here to do.
So how would we know that we're getting a little nudge from either a spirit guide or an angel, and being like, "Yo, what's going on over here?" How would we
Yeah,
know?
so one thing is definitely your dreams. So as we were talking about before, especially if you have recurring dreams. If you have recurring dreams, something is trying to tell you something, right? So whether it's your spirit guide, your angel, a deceased loved one, they're trying to get you to recognize something in your life. But, dream interpretation is a whole other thing whenever you have to try to sit there and interpret them. But the other way your spirit guides talk to you is through your intuition. So if you are getting those chills, it could be that little wise person inside of you, your intuition, or it could be your spirit guide that's actually putting that thought inside of you, because your intuition is your spirit. So, and you and your spirit guide are as one. So it's really like, is this coming from my own spirit or is it coming from my spirit guide? And really, they're just labels. As long as you're getting the right information, you're taking the right path with it, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, yeah. I think, for the human experience, people like to categorize. Our brain works that way, right? We don't categorize things. So it's a little, I think for a lot of people, it's a little difficult to just kind of let go and go, okay, what is this? And I think they want to put meaning to it. They want to put labels on it to help categorize and enhance their understanding for sure. What has surprised you about your gifts from either, 10 years to now? What's been surprising for this journey for you personally?
So, what was most surprising at first was like when you're going on this spiritual journey, and you might be able to attest to this too, it's almost like your reality changes. Like, that my whole life I have been told XYZ, and now I'm learning ABC, right? So, it's almost like this reality change of, like when, for instance, when like something negative happens, I used to always be like, oh my God, why is this happening to me? This is the worst thing ever. And now I'm looking at it in terms of, what is this going to teach me? What strengths am I going to get from this? What am I supposed to learn from this to help me move in the future? And then you look at your past and you say, you know what, I already went through these things, and this is where I got today. So whatever I'm learning right now, where's it going to get me to in the future? So, before it was almost like very, like earthly, I guess. And now, because you have that higher purpose and you see that we're all connected, we're here for a reason, it just gives you that like more meaning in your life. And then you start to look at things differently, which is, I wasn't expecting that. And so now I'm very like, I just take things as it comes. I know I can't control things. It's more my reaction to how things happen.
Right.
And if you can be calm and centered within yourself and balanced, like there's really nothing that can be thrown at you that will get you off that balance. So it's all, yeah, it's a different reality, I think.
Yeah, no, and that happens through shadow work and healing, for sure, for sure. And so, if this interests you, that's the first path to take is to start to heal yourself
Yeah.
from previous trauma, from previous generations, from your parents screwing you up. They did the best they could with what they had.
Yeah.
And that was a game changer for me, was actually seeing my parents as the flawed humans that they actually are, or the flawed beings. And they're learning as well, versus this pedestal that I had my parents on
Mhm.
as the role model, the antipathy, like the, people to emulate. And yeah, that changed the game for me of like, oh, I don't, they're flawed too. Maybe I don't need to emulate them. Maybe maybe there is a better way, and what they've taught me could be improved upon. I don't have to
Yeah.
stay here. For sure. That was really enlightening for me.
Yeah.
Um,
And just to make sure people know too, like, it might take the rest of your life to heal. It's not like, you don't want to make it quick. You want to take your time at it. And if you haven't healed 100%, that doesn't mean you can't develop your psychic abilities. It's a hand-on-hand journey. You're doing them together. So I don't want people to think, oh my gosh, I have to be completely healed before I can develop this gift. Like, definitely not. It's definitely hand in hand, and could be for the rest of your life.
Oh no, I say that, I absolutely say that. The day my healing journey finishes is the day I take my last breath.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
will forever be a process.
Yeah.
Forever will be a process. And I think if somebody tells you they're healed, especially in a mental health service, whether it's coaching or psychic abilities or therapy, I would question their actual self-awareness and insight.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And,
Yeah.
I always stay in my lane. I tell them, do these exercises of, self abandonment. You need to forgive yourself for things, self betrayal, all of those. But, I stay in my lane. I'm like, I am not a therapist. I'm not a counselor. So these are the things you need to work on. But I am not that person to help you with that. I can help you once you're ready to then develop your psychic abilities on that next module. But, for that part, yeah, got to stay in my lane.
Oh, 1000%. 1000%. I'm glad that you have those ethics too, because there are, coaches out there who, with an unregulated, system like it is, and that's international. There's no regulation in the world at all for coaches or mentors. You got to be really careful, because some people don't know how to stay in their lane. They don't know where their lane is.
Yeah.
And so definitely find somebody that knows those boundaries, because if not, they could do worse damage. And
Yeah.
that, yeah, that is, I'm so keenly aware of that. And I don't want to damage anybody further by any stretch of the imagination. I'm sure you get asked this all the time. What's a crazy story? Sorry to be so, rote, but it's interesting.
Sure. So my crazy story is actually, and I hope this is a good lesson for people that are dabbling in it, because so I was 17 years old, and this was before I developed my ability. This was still in the stage of me ignoring it and being afraid of it. I was playing with the Ouija board, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't realize how strong my ability was. And my friends and we had just gone to a pool party, and we were going on this like path through the woods to go get some pizza. And we did that, and we got to we entered the woods, and something started to growl at us. And in that moment, you're thinking it's an animal, because what else would growl at you, right? So we all saw the same thing. It was like a black, half white face. I kind of like describe it like the Phantom of the Opera kind of looking. And because my friends don't have any psychic abilities, but
I was
because
just going
my
to say, were you hanging out with a bunch of psychics? Because
no,
what?
yeah, absolutely not. But when you're psychic and when your abilities are so strong, the people around you start to have experiences. So, like, my husband has no abilities, but now he can see apparitions
Oh,
and things are happening to him.
I'm
So,
sure he's like, I'm questioning this union that
yeah,
I don't know about this.
he
This
always
is
tells
not
me
an
to tell my
about.
friends to go away. He's like, tell your friends to leave me alone. Anyway, so I didn't realize how strong my abilities were, that they were actually able to see this thing as well. So they ran, and there was two guys, by the way. Of course, they leave me there. This
Wimp.
thing pushed me into the brush. So I'm thinking now, okay, this is not an animal. This is a human with what, a mask on. And I really thought I was going to be attacked. So I luckily was able to run out of there. I ran back to my house, and I called the cops. So the cops go back into the woods, and they were like, there's nothing back there. And it actually took me years to realize that was a negative energy. That was like a demon. That was a bad spirit that I entered into my energy, because I'm doing the Ouija board, not knowing what I'm doing. And then now this thing entered my life, because it was like, if it was an animal, it would have kept running after us. Why would a human be back there? Maybe in case kids are going to get pizza. Like, nothing made sense until years later, and I'm developing this a gift, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was me entering, having this, welcoming this negative energy. So that's why I tell people, like, please don't dabble with it. If it's not me as your mentor, get someone else. You want to do it in a safe and wise way, so that you don't ever have to experience something like that, like I did.
Not be attacked in the woods by the Phantom of the Opera guy. No. No, thank you.
Yes.
No, thank with your two sidekicks who totally abandoned you.
Right.
Oh, be like,
Yep.
yo, dude, them.
Yeah.
I'm they ran, not me. Go get
Yeah,
them.
right. Yeah.
Not,
Crazy.
I'm not recommending sicking any demon on anybody, guys. That's dark arts. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Um, that is terrifying. That's
Yes.
terrifying
Yeah.
that it could manifest so strongly that one, your two friends saw it who do not have, their abilities are tamped down,
Yeah.
and two, that it could actually push you
Yes.
into,
Yeah.
the brush or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yikes. So, from my understanding, these abilities, I mean, everybody has them. I get that, but like, and stronger in some bloodlines. So, was your grandmother? Is your mother? Or your like? What does that look like?
Yeah, so eventually, probably like 15 years ago, I started to tell my family about it, because I wanted to take this career path. I wanted to be a medium. I now want to be a mentor. So I started telling them. I was at Christmas years ago, and nobody was surprised. My mom was like, "Oh yeah, I have that." And my aunt had it, my uncle had it, my cousin had it, and it all stemmed from like my great grandma, because she had it, and it was like, here I am at 10 years old. I'm afraid to talk about it. Nobody else is talking about it. And now I'm in my 30s, and everyone's not surprised. Like, why did no one talk about this? So, yeah, we are a very strong line of psychics. I have an uncle who's an angelic healer. He actually can pray, like, he channels Archangel Michael. Archangel Michael comes through him. He prays for people. He sends them this healing ball, and his accuracy rate has to be like 98%. At first you think it's coincidence, but it's like, the just a few weeks ago, it was like this 11-month-old baby had been in the NICU since she was born, and he only prayed for her for 3 days, and now she's at home doing great. And it's story after story like that. So I'm like, this is obviously an amazing, beautiful gift that we have, but nobody thought to ever talk about it.
Like, yo, I was about to check into a loony bin
Yes,
because you
right?
guys didn't say anything. Come
Yes,
on.
yeah. And that's why I want to now talk about it so that nobody has to feel like that. Like, let's just all talk about it because there's way too many people having these experiences. So, like, let's just be a like-minded community and support each other.
Yeah. Come out of that spiritual closet, like you said
Yes.
earlier. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just perfect. You did that, and everybody's like, yeah, and like, you're
Yeah.
like, what?
Yeah.
I thought I was going nuts for sure, for sure. What's been maybe one of the coolest experiences that you have delivered to a client with respecting with respecting the client, of course?
So I think that this one spirit always comes to mind because he really tricked me. I was giving a reading and he was like this grumpy old man and he was being so rude. And I was like, why would you come through a medium to give these rude, like grumpy messages to your loved ones? So I'm telling them like straight as it is, telling them how rude he's being, and he's being rude to me, he's being rude to you. These are the messages. And they went probably a good 20 minutes without telling me. And then finally, they all started cracking up. And here, he had always been like this big prankster, jokester type of guy. So he was being totally sarcastic. They understood that. I'm the only one that doesn't understand that. And yeah, he really fooled me. Usually I can read energy, but he just completely had me fooled. And I was like, oh, I totally thought he was rude. And they're like, meanwhile, cracking up because they know he's being sarcastic. But I didn't have any idea.
That's hilarious. I mean, can you imagine what he was like on this earth?
Right?
Uh, he would have been a fun time for sure. For sure, for sure. Tell people about your course and what it is like to actually work with you as a mentor, because I think people are curious about what this takes.
Yeah. So I know a lot of people are always like, I don't have the time. So, but it actually only takes about 20 to 30 minutes a day. And I offer it in a 90-day space because think of it like you haven't gone to the gym in 5 years. You're not going to go for 3 hours. You're going to be completely exhausted. It's not going to do yourself any good. And a lot of people don't realize when you're developing this psychic muscle that you are expending a ton of energy, even though it's all in your mind, you are getting depleted. You're needing to hydrate yourself because you don't even realize it. So yeah, it's 20 to 30 minutes a day that I recommend, and I really help people develop their intuition, which then helps them communicate with their spirit guides, which helps them connect with universal energy. It really creates that positive outlook on your life to give you more of a like feeling of okay whenever something unexpected comes into your life. And then also if someone wants to create income, they can learn how to do that if they want that potential to create the income, because you can choose to help yourself and do personal growth. You can choose to heal others and do something that you love to do. Everybody's kind of on their own journey, but that option is there if they need it. But everything is on video. So unlike books, I hate books that are like, close your eyes and now do this, right? And it's like, well, now my eyes are closed and I can't read this. So everything I have is on video. It's in a group setting so that we all have that like-minded community of support and everyone's going through this together. And then we also have bi-weekly Q&A calls. And then they also have access to me at any time because I can talk about this stuff all day long and I never want someone to get stuck, right? So like they can always reach out to me with their experiences or advice or questions on the modules. But yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. And then once they finish the 90-day program, I also offer a practice circle because it's so important to now practice what you just learned, because that's what's going to give you that trust in yourself, because you're going to stop second guessing yourself. You're going to, be able to have that confidence. So the practice circle is really important. And then if someone even wants to take it a next step, I do a customizable alumni program, and that I customize to the person. Let's find out, did you find out you were a healer in the 90 days? Did you find out you were a medium? And now let's take that a step further. If you do want to create income and make that, a daily job or a side hustle for yourself. So a couple of different programs there.
You're a business mentor, not just a mediumship or psychic mentor. You're a business mentor. That's awesome. That's a complete package. That's a complete package. What if somebody wants a reading? What does that look like?
Yeah. So if someone wants a reading, I always tell them at least 24 hours before to start thinking of that person's memory, invite them in, give them permission to come to the reading. You really want to start getting their energy to come in. And then during the reading, I started off with a spiritual little like practice. It's basically a meditation to open their mind, get them relaxed, because a lot of anxiety and nervousness can come along with getting a reading. And it is an emotional time, and sometimes they might not even get the emotion to hit them until like a week or two later. So I let them know, even though we're doing this now, you might not feel anything for a week or two. Also, if someone is going to get a reading, I always say, the spirit and the reader have to get a connection going. So I might start off with like very something simple, like your grandma's favorite color was red, right? And they might validate it, but they might also be thinking like, okay, anybody could know this, right? But that's how me and spirit are starting to get this connection. And then as the reading goes on, it gets more and more specific, where you get to the point of there's no way she knew this. But that beginning point is just so that spirit and I trust each other, and they know they can give me their messages, and so it kind of builds off of that. So that's what someone can expect from a reading, but it's very healing and comforting. I think a lot of people, or not a lot, but some people have a fear of, are they going to tell me something I don't want to hear? Are they looking down at me for the choices that I'm making? But that's not why they're here. They love and accept you just like they did here on earth, if not even more on the other side, because now they've gone through a perspective of how they treated people or how they lived their life. And so their horizons have also broadened. And so you might even get something out of it that you didn't get while they were here on earth.
I think one of my fears, and I've had 2 readings in my life. I think one of my fears is the people that I want to come through don't. Talk about
Yeah.
that. Mhm.
That's a whole other thing too. So I always tell people, if you want someone, there's no guarantee you're going to get that person. Like we can only open ourselves up to the spirit world, and whoever comes through comes through. But I do recommend that you don't go with other people. So because if you go with other people, now you have the chance that their people are going to come through. So I always say to do an individual reading, because if not, you're just really like taking your chances down a notch, because now their people could come through.
You're like watering it down. That makes
Yes.
sense.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and also if someone doesn't come through, there's a couple reasons for that. It could be that you're grieving so hard that the medium can't get a reading. I mean, imagine a brick wall. That's like what grief is. It's a brick wall.
Wow.
And how hard is it to talk to someone through a brick wall? You can't hear them. So it could be that you're grieving so hard. So maybe try again in 6 months or a year and see if you can get that person then. The other reason is if there's any kind of negativity, whether it's to the medium or to you, your spirit guides or my spirit guides will put up that wall, and they'll say, you're not ready for this message. I'm not going to let this spirit come through. Vice versa for the medium. There's negative energy here that I don't want to have you enter your space. So there's a couple different reasons why a spirit might not come through.
That's fascinating. That's absolutely fascinating. Because one time I did, and then one time I didn't, and I was disappointed. I was, like I was happy who came through, like that was awesome, but
Yeah.
also it's disappointing in a little. And yeah, yeah. But the people that came through, it was pretty funny. That's for sure. How do you shut it off? How do you, like, right now, you've gotta be focused here, and
Yes.
so how are not my people yelling at you? How are you like, "No, mm-mm," or your people, whomever is in your house and their people are like, "Yo!" How do you shut it off? How do you, like, "Not now, guys.
Yes.
Close business."
That's exactly what it is. Like, imagine just like you would set boundaries with a human, you have to set the boundaries with spirit. And because imagine if I let them talk to me all day, I wouldn't even be in the on earth anymore, right? I'd be constantly in a different spirit world, like realm. So I literally think of it like that, like an open and close sign, as though I have like the storefront and they have to know my open and close hours. And I have to set them every single morning before I wake up, because even though a spirit might have been here yesterday and heard the open and close hours, a new spirit might be here today. So you really have to think of it like customers coming in that have maybe never been to your store, and you have to tell them. And every day it's different, like maybe I'm going out to dinner with friends later, or maybe today I don't care and everybody can talk to me. So every day is a little bit different, but you have to set those boundaries. And you still get those spirits that are like, is the door open a little bit? And you really have to be like, no, it's not.
And in 5 minutes before closing, "Hi, do you
Yes.
care? Do you mind?"
Yeah,
All my
exactly.
restaurant people know what that's like. Yeah, for sure. Like, "Oh, are you guys getting ready to close?" No, we're just shutting down for the hell of it. It's fine. Come
Yeah,
on in."
exactly.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. I can only imagine when you have free for all days what that's like for you.
Yeah.
I'm
They're
sure
meant
that
to
you're
be.
few and far between for that reason alone. Kind of like
Exactly.
a little bit of a circus chaos, I
Yes.
imagine.
And
Uh,
it's also like, what's the point? I feel bad saying that, but it's like, if I don't know who your message is for, maybe they just want to be heard, but like, I can't give the message to anyone, but maybe they're just lonely that day, or I treat them like a child, actually. It's kind of like, are you lost? How can I help you today? Is there something you'd like to say to me? It's kind of like that, like to try to help them because your loved one is not with me. So, like, basically, how can I help you then? So yeah, it's kind of a talk like with a child.
oh my gosh, in your total customer service voice. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. Hi, how can I help you today? Oh my god. Also interesting that they get lonely. Interesting that they, still have some human experiences, even though they are this beautiful light and energy and back into the collective. And yet that it's almost like a piece of human remain
Yeah.
uh, kind of in it. Kind of like, from my understanding of this, like there's pieces of our soul that remembers and it's in there, and hence you get your gifts, right? Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's interesting that the reverse is true as well. That's fascinating.
Yeah, and those are usually the earthbound spirits, so they haven't crossed over completely yet. So they're still kind of hanging out. Like maybe they want to not leave their loved ones. They don't want to go up to the spirit world yet. Maybe they feel like they have some kind of purpose still here, which sometimes you see in the movies. So the ones that are lonely are more your earthbound spirits that they just, for whatever reason, haven't crossed over. And there's mediums out there who can help them cross over. I don't do that myself, but there are people out there that can help them cross over as well.
So that's the final question. So if there are mediums that specialize in that, what would be your like niche or specialty as far as your gift is concerned? If there are mediums that help cross over, there are automatic writers, like what's your thing? What's your flavor?
Yeah, I do automatic writing as well. I also do psychometry, was whenever you hold an object and you can get the messages from that also. But I think mine is more just comfort and healing. But I really don't want to be known as a reader anymore. I really want to be known as the mentor because I feel like that if I can create more people to become light workers and to be able to heal people and to give these messages to other people, I feel like that's my purpose. Because I mean, sure, I can do it, but if I can create an army of people that can do that, like how awesome is that? That's my thing.
Absolutely. That ripple effect's huge. That
Yes.
is definitely something that I aim to do, is create that ripple effect by impacting one person, and then they go home and they impact their family, and
Yes.
then
Yeah.
kids grow up and they impact their family. And yeah, I totally get that. I totally get that. Oh my gosh. Brandi, tell everybody where, so those who are interested in getting a reading, and then those who maybe want to have a discussion with you about developing their gifts further.
Yep. So you can go to my website, brandyvan.com, and that has all my programs, all my services on there. And if you have any questions, or even if you're someone looking just for someone to talk to, maybe you just don't have this person in your life that you can just have a conversation with about this, that's not going to judge you. There's also on my website, you can book a half-hour free call with me just so we can talk so that you don't feel so alone. I would love to help people with that as well. And I also do offer a mini course. It's a self-study course. And that's for people who are like, I don't know if I want to jump into the 90 days. Can I get a little taste of what it would be like to develop my abilities? And so that's on my website as well, if people want to check that out too.
Oh my gosh, that is beautiful. Thank you so much for your time and for your energy. And I hope my people weren't yelling at you. Like, because there are some people that of my people that would be yelling at you, and not in a bad way, just loud talkers.
Yes.
So thank you so much. If you guys have questions for Brandi and you guys want me to have her back to answer those questions, drop them below in the comments, please. Because I think I could talk to intuitives are one of my favorite people, because I love their energy. I love their energy. It's just so comforting. So if that means something to you, you guys want to have her back, comment below, comment any questions, and we will definitely collate them. This is like the fifth time I've said collate today, which is very weird. Speaking of patterns, I never say this word, and yet it's come up like 5 different times today. So that's very weird. I just realized that. But we'll collate them and put them together and have her back, and we'll do like a Q&A.
Oh,
So
awesome.
you're down with that? Let's do it.
Yes.
For sure. So y'all do all the YouTubey things, like, follow, subscribe, comment below if this interested you. And yeah, Brandi, thank you again for your energy and your beautiful, beautiful gifts. It's been lovely.
Thank you.
All right, you guys. Again, it literally takes just a few short minutes a day to develop a life in a different way, whether it's to quit the negative self talk, set boundaries, and stop people pleasing, or clearly 30 minutes a day to develop these beautiful gifts that we literally all have. And so it's just a few short minutes a day and that you invest in yourself and you watch your life change. So I love you. Thank you for being here, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.